Hello, and welcome back to Skep's Unnamed Deck Showcase. On this episode of the series, we're going to be taking a look at a deck from last format that, despite performing very well at Worlds, did not merit a single hit on the ban list. I'm talking, of course, about Pendulum Magistus, a new build of the deck that takes the deck's very svelte main deck count of monsters and fits in a 5 to 6 card Magistus suite, allowing the deck to end on Trishula, Zero Dragon of the Ice Barriers on their opponent's turn, and Iwas the Magistus Spell Spirit for a Snatch Steal effect at instant speed. Is this incredibly powerful Monster Mash combo deck strong enough to carry you to King of Games or win tournaments, or is it going to lose to your opponent's hard-drawn, unsearchable staples? Take a look at this video and see for yourself. Alrighty, so here we are with the deck, and I'm just going to fly right through it because basically nothing has changed from last time as far as the Pendulum ratios go. We've just swapped out our 6 staples for 5 Endymion, or we've just swapped out our 5 staples for 5 Magistus cards and an additional Pendulum monster name. We are playing an additional Pendulum name in Dragon Pulse Magician as a searchable out to monsters. You can search it, scale it, and pop something problematic like a Destiny Hero, Dystopia, or a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, or force out the pop effect on those monsters before you commit to your play. Before this, when we were playing Pure, we were playing 3 Cosmic, 3 Book of Moon. We are not playing those, so something had to take their place, and I only felt like playing 5 Magistus monsters, so this is the 20th card. If you want to know more about why we're playing the Magician ratios we're playing, you can watch my last video, but basically this is the most consistent lineup of Magicians and Performapals for always ensuring you have an Oath Dragon and a Dragon Pit in your scale before you Pendulum summon, so you can add Noble Dragon and Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon to your extra deck, add Noble Dragon back to your hand, and then special summon Noble Dragon it with its own effect after you perform a Pendulum summon. So let's talk about the Endymion engine. We've got 1 Rilliona as the target for Rilliona 2, now with Battle Royale. 3 copies of Endymion, the Magistus of Mastery, as a supplemental normal summon. If we don't draw Performapal Skullcrobat Joker, we can normal summon Endymion, activate its effect to equip Artemis, search another Endymion card, activate with Artemis's effect, then activate Endymion's effect to destroy Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden, draw a card, and then if it's another scale that we need, we put back the Magistus that we searched because we don't need any more Magistuses. We get all the Magistus we need with our regular combo by overlaying for Wonder Robe and then summoning Rilliona from deck to search our last Endymion card, Magistus Invocation. You're normally ending on Shooting Riser Dragon at level 3, 2 level 4s, plus Xyz Rilliona with a Spellcaster in hand. So you will use the Spellcaster in your hand and Rilliona, the Wondrous Magistus Witch Wardrobe, to summon Iwas, ending on level 3 Shooting Riser, plus 2 level 4s, letting you quick synchro for Trishula Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. So you'll have 3 non-targeting banish effects, and 1 Snatch Steal at instant speed. That is the main game plan of the deck. Quickly going over the Magician cards: 3 Pendulum Call, mandatory 3 of, 3 Wisdom Eye, mandatory 3 of, 2 Performapal Skullcrobat Joker, the most you can play, mandatory at 2, 2 Dragon Pit Magician, very good, 2 Oath Dragon Magician, very good. These are your best scales. They're the monsters you always want to scale. 1 Noble Dragon Magician, mandatory for your combo. 1 Dragon Pulse just as the 20th card. You don't need to play this card, but it is a searchable out to problematic monsters, and because you only really have 1 free space in the extra deck, if you're choosing to play a 1 of staple like a Book of Moon or a Forbidden Chalice, you're much less likely to draw it, whereas with this card you can search it when you need it and don't search it when you don't need it. I believe it is the most flexible 20th card you can be playing, and so I recommend you do play it as your 20th card. 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I don't respect this deck enough to play 2. If you draw it, you draw it. You'll still win the game because this skill is busted. And I believe we've gone over everything. This is the list I ran. Whether or not it's better than Pure, I'll let you decide. I do have a video from like 2 months ago where I played the Pure version of this deck that is still legal to this day, and I do think the ability to play 6 staples, back row removal, and monster removal does have notable advantages, but you'll just have to watch this video and check that video out if you want to decide for yourself whether or not to play Magistus or Pure Pendulum Magician. With all that being said, let me show you some replays so we can see this deck's strengths and weaknesses. Alrighty, here, game number 1, going to be up against a Jack Atlas On Resonators, we're going to see if we can't do our civic duty and stop this anime LARPer from leveling up. Pay no attention to the fact that we are also on an anime LARPer deck. It's cool when I play it. They're going to activate Resonator Call to add that Crimson Resonator to their hand. Gonna activate a second Resonator Call, adding another Resonator to their hand. Chain Resonator, I have no idea what that card does. They're gonna activate Demon's Resonance. Very interesting, gonna fix their hand for absolutely free because we can't allow for interesting and simplified game states to happen in Duel Links. Absolutely not. That might make the anime fans' eyes glaze over if they had to do something other than execute the same combo every game. We're going to let them summon 2 Resonator monsters. How very fascinating. Gonna make Red Dragon Archfiend the best card ever printed of all time. Then they're gonna make Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane, then use their normal summon on Chain Resonator, allowing them to summon a Resonator from the deck, gaining them 3,000 life points, tributing whatever the hell they summoned, to summon Red Dragon from the deck, then Synchro Summon into Red Nova Dragon, set a card, and pass. Who wants to guess if that's Solemn Scolding or not? So we'll see what we can do against this incredibly not threatening, but somehow still incredibly hard to execute setup. We're going to activate the effect of our Pendulum Scale to pop that Solemn Scolding. Then we're going to just let the deck play itself for a second, send our level 7 Dragon, our level 3 Magician to the extra deck, add the Magician to our hand, and then we're going to have to start figuring out how this deck works. We're going to Pendulum Summon 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to activate Endymion, just draw a card for no reason. We're going to search another Endymion. Then we are going to activate Endymion to pop it and add a Skullcrobat to our hand. That will be fusion material, or it would be if we didn't normal summon. So check this out. We're going to activate the effect of the Noble Dragon to special summon itself, reducing odd eyes by 3. Then we're going to synchro summon using our level 4, level 3, and level 4 as well for Trishula's Zero Dragon of the Ice Barriers. Since we're going second, we aren't going to go through the hoop of making the whatever the fuck the other dragon's name is, Shooting Riser. We're going to summon Magistus of Vare. We are going to normal summon the Skullcrobat Joker to search a card we don't care about because we're going to fuse away with that in our hand to summon Iwas. And then we're going to attack for not lethal, but we do have Snatch Steal on the crackback to their 1 card in hand. Just kidding, 2 cards in hand because of Wild Wings. We are going to wait for them to perform an action. They're going to Crimson Resonator. The normal summon Snipe Hunter, absolutely not. We're going to take that level 4. They're going to pass, and we are going to do the ethical thing and kill them with their own monster. Game 2 going to be up against a Jim Crocodile Cook on Fossils. Thank you very much to Spaghetti for dueling against me. I couldn't find any good games on ladder, so I decided to just get some duels against people in the Discord who had already reached King of Games using the decks they used to get to King of Games. So this should at least provide some sort of simulation of what ladder could be like for this deck. We're going to normal summon Skullcrobat, search a card to discard with the hard-drawed Pendulum Call. We're going to add 2 Magicians to our hand. We're going to scale our 2 best scales, Oaf and Pit. Then we're going to activate our scale as per usual, revealing our 2 requisite dragons to send Odd Eyes and Noble Dragon. Going to add Noble Dragon back to our hand. Going to Pendulum Summon a fatty 3 monsters. That's Odd Eyes, Endymion, and Camel Lump. We're going to activate the effect of Endymion to draw a card by searching a card we don't care about, popping the Magistus, and bottoming the Magistus we drew. That will allow us to overlay for Rilliona, clearing up space for our Noble Dragon. Then we get to Synchro Summon for Shooting Riser. Shooting Rider's effects activates to send Wisdom Eye, activating Witch Wardrobe to summon Baby Rilliona. Baby Rilliona will add the Magistus Fusion spell. We're going to fuse using the Xyz on field and the level 4 in hand to preserve our 8 stars of material on the field. And now our opponent will just completely invalidate our entire setup with Book of Moon. So now we don't get to make Trishula. We just have to settle for the incredibly lackluster Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. If we had Zeta, we would have won the game, but spoilers. If we had Zeta, it would have been better for us. They're going to banish our Shooting Riser with Fossil Fusion for Skullgios, so now all they have to do is bait out the Clear Wing because we can't target this card. They're going to pitch Weathering Soldier for Dark World Dealings. Then they're going to summon Shell Knight, deal 250. Let's see if that matters. They're going to Fossil Fusion, going to banish for another level 4. This allows them to make Diamond Direwolf, but we cannot allow them to target our monster. We need to preserve our negate. They have Miracle Rupture to send Shell Knight, and Shell Knight will summon Gaia Plate, which lets them walk over Clear Wing and then kill us for double piercing damage. Alrighty here, last game against non-meta here. We're going to be going second against a Selena player on a 13-win streak with Lunalite, a deck that isn't very good, but people do want to force because it is somewhat new. Absolutely tragic that we don't have these cards off the ban list, and we got 0 good pieces of support in the newest box, but we'll see if our opponent minusing themselves for their entire hand to make a non-targetable monster is good enough. The answer is no, because every top deck outs this. So we are going to do our standard play of setting scales. This is a good game to showcase that, of course. You don't need to open a Pendulum Call because your Wisdom Eye will always set up the exact scales you need. We're going to do the same play as always. Pendulum Summon a fatty 4 monsters. We've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, and we've got 4. We're going to activate Endymion Magistus of Mastery. We don't have another level 4 spellcaster with a different attribute, but that's totally fine because the Xyz monsters this deck forces you to play already win you the game on their own. So we're going to make Dark Rebellion and then make Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. That is more than enough damage. We're going to destroy that, whatever the hell that card's called, and they're going to give up. I know I said in another replay that was going to be the last game against non-meta, but unfortunately, the second replay I got with this deck against meta, I rewatched the replay as I was commentating it and realized I massively misplayed, and the replay wasn't worth much of anything. I would have won the game if I had made Raging Dragon, but I elected to make Zero Trish instead, which resulted in me not getting lethal and then losing to Darkhole. So we're going to watch this replay against Phantom Knights to see how this deck plays into 3 back row without any Cosmic Cyclones or Forbidden Lances in the deck. They're going to do the standard play, not ending on any monster interaction, but searching Fogblade and setting up their Banish Zone and Graveyard for their next turn. We're going to lead with a Pendulum Call, bit of a misplay. I should have led with Joker to bait out the Fogblade and see how that would have worked, but alas, they know I already have Scales in hand, so they're not going to do anything about it. We are going to reveal our extra deck monsters for the skill and add Camelump to our hand, add Noble Dragon to the hand, discard the Camelump to try to pop that Fogblade. We hit a Lance, so we are going to have to run headfirst into the Fogblade and try not to die on the Crackback because I do not think we can kill them anymore through a Fogblade. One of the weaknesses of this deck is that it is very susceptible to interaction on its big playmakers, like Trish Zero. They're going to chain Fogblade, resulting in our monster resolving without effect. We are going to activate Rilliona to summon the Endymion. Going to activate the effect to equip a Artemis to search a Rilliona, pop the Artemis, and leave the Wisdom Eye in our hand for next turn. Then we are going to make Iwas and attack over the What's-His-Face. They have a stacked graveyard, so they're going to send an Ancient Cloak, banish Ancient Cloak, to add a Stained Greaves. I see Stained Greaves doesn't have a special summon effect, but it has an effect that activates when another Phantom Knight is special summoned, so I assume they have a monster that special summons itself, so I was like, let me just steal that monster. In hindsight, doesn't really make much sense, because if they had a monster that summoned itself, normal summon Stained Greaves would have got them there. Alas, they have another Book of Moon, and we are going to steal their monster. They're going to have to normal summon it, Book of Moon it, and walk over it. We are going to Pendulum Summon 2 level 4s and a 7, which makes Raging, meaning we win the game and our opponent concedes. Very interesting. Alrighty, meta match here up against alleged Tier 1 contender Destiny Hero. We're going to be going first, and we'll see which of the busted skill decks can outbust the other. We're going to be activating Raging Pendulum, their 26 cards versus our 20. Let's see what they can do here. We are going to normal summon Skull Crobat Joker to add a level 4 we don't need to our hand. We are going to set our scales, and then we are going to Raging Pendulum to put our Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and Noble Dragon Magician into our extra deck. Then we are going to Pendulum Summon 3, 1, 2, and 3. Magillion, what the fuck is this card's name? Magistus. Rilliona, the fucking Xyz one. You know what it's called. I don't need to pronounce these monsters' names for you to know what they do. Then we're going to send a card to the graveyard to make this monster's level 3. Add the spell to our hand after summoning Rilliona. And then we're going to fusion summon using the Xyz and the monster in our hand. So we have, as always, our level 11 Synchro Play plus... Oh, just kidding. So we're just going to let that go through because, like, I don't think Clearwing is going to do anything. If I had what's-his-face, the Zeta, I would have synchroed into that, because then I could have banished this. Yeah, it just doesn't do anything. So we're going to see what happens here. I steal their Cerberus, which prevents it from destroying itself, which is interesting. They're going to polymerization into Dystopia, and because I don't have that one particular extra deck monster, we lose the game. I guess I could have synchro summoned into the level 7. That might have actually been better. Because then I could have stopped them from using Dystopia's effect, but then they wouldn't have activated it, and they just would have crashed over me. So even then, I don't think not summoning Clearwing was a thing there. And then we just get it off the field. Hopefully I survive, but I don't. They're just going to normal summon that, and we lose the game from here. So we're back with the deck, and as I alluded to in that last replay, there was a version of this video where I showcased a horrible match versus Trickstar, wherein I lose to not getting lethal through 6,000 life points and my opponent top decking Darkhole, really cementing the fact that this deck is very strong unless your opponent top decks the game-ending staples that are unsearchable. Book of Moon on your Synchro Monster, as we've seen, World Forbidden Chalice on your Synchro Monster, Darkhole, going first staples, all of these can interrupt your combo, whereas if you're interrupted by a trap card going second, you can threaten Dark Rebellion into raging to kill your opponent. If your opponent is on the crackback going second, Book of Mooning or Chalicing, your Shooting Riser Dragon is basically game over, and you have to hope your Iwas gets you there. And of course, they could always draw the second Book of Moon for your Iwas. Not that that's really any surprise. This deck, being a monster match deck, will lose to staples. It just sort of sucks that in games you're winning because the skill is broken, and in games you're losing because your opponent top decked unsearchable cards, and not really because their deck could beat yours, but rather their staple lineup could beat yours. That's just sort of where Duel Links is right now, and I haven't been a fan of it for a while. In an ideal world, we just nerf the skills into the ground and let every deck play good cards. But alas, the best cards in decks that don't have skills that play the deck for them are the unsearchable spell and trap cards that beat the decks that do rely on their skills to play the game. That's just sort of where we're at. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I don't really know what else to say. I hate Raging Pendulum, and I hate skills. Please let us play a card game. Konami, I am begging you. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you didn't get too upset by my salty take regarding this deck at the end. But we've got a couple more interesting decks to show off, thanks to the new box, which I did go into, so please look forward to some new decks that I'll be talking about in the coming days. Until then, I will see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.